Hey everyone, good morning and good evening. Okay, so let's start with today's session. Let me quickly share my screen and let's see what exactly we're doing today. Okay, hopefully you guys can see my screen. So today we'll focus on first IAC tool. IAC is nothing but infra as a code tool wherein your infra will be created with some sort of template. Okay, so in this we'll focus on ARM templates. Why exactly I'm focusing on ARM first? Okay, that is something I'll discuss later. But before that, there are some prerequisites. Okay, that prerequisite needs to be completed. The first prerequisite is you need to sign into portal.azure.com, which we have already signed in. We are already logged in. We already have a subscription right now. Second is we need to install Azure CLI. It's a command line interface through command line you'll be able to manage your resources on cloud. So this is the link. Just go to this link and if you come down, if you're using Windows, Mac and Linux, it's all given over here. For Windows, just download this CLI. So this is a .msi file, guys. So once you download, just hit next. So your CLI will be installed automatically. Okay, how do you verify after that? Just open PowerShell and just try to run easy version. If you're getting an output, that means your CLI is installed. If you're not getting an output, that means your CLI is not installed. As simple as that. Now, if I'm getting a CLI output, the version over here, so that means my Azure CLI is installed on my system. That's the second step. Third step, run the easy version. Fourth step, run this easy login. Okay, easy login. So basically from your command line you're trying to log into your portal. So this is kind of a authentication which you're trying to do right now. Okay, so I'll authenticate using this account, Mela DevOps. I've selected the account. After, if you see, you have logged in successfully. Now if you go back, you should get an output over here. So this output is telling you you are successfully logged into your subscription, Mela DevOps AZ Cloud. This is your subscription ID and everything. Okay, so that's all. Now this step, what you see, the other step from line 16 till line 22, these are optional. Why it is optional? If you have multiple subscription, okay, like I have only one subscription right now, devopsmela training. This is the only subscription I have in my account. So this is optional for me. If you have multiple subscription, and if you want to select some specific subscription, then you can easily list your account. And this is the easy account set, subscription and the subscription ID. This is how you can set this thing up. So this is only for them who has multiple subscription. Keep this in mind. Okay, so this was your first, basically these are your sub tasks. These were your first two steps. The third step is to install Visual Studio Code. So last time I've already asked everyone to install Visual Studio Code. If not installed, this is the link. Go to that link and you can install Visual Studio Code. And when you open Visual Studio Code, this is how it looks like. Okay. Now once this is installed, there is a ARM template plugin. Now you can create ARM template without the help of this plugin also, but this will make your life way easier and you can create ARM template with no time. Okay, you don't need to remember the difficult syntax. You don't need to remember where you miss the curly braces. You don't need to remember the service name, because that is, if you ask me, that is simply not easy to go and remember the service name and everything. Okay, so you can easily, with the help of this plugin, you can go and create ARM templates. Okay, now in this, okay, this is some, forget about this. Till here, this is a prerequisite. This is where you start creating files, then this all comes in picture. For now, till here, this is what we need to achieve. Now this plugin, what exactly this plugin is, let me show you. Once you log into your ARM, let me close this all. Okay, so if you come to left hand side, there is an option of extension. Click on the extension. If you see, there is a plugin called Azure Resource Manager. This is a Microsoft plugin, Azure Resource Manager. So if you basically, this is a ARM tool for Visual Studio Code. It supports resource snippets, resource auto completion, and helps you validate Azure Resource Manager on run. So it will have the snippets, it will have auto completion, and it will also validate your template, whatever template you're trying to create. So this is what we need. Okay, so make sure you have this plugin installed on your system. There are other plugins which I'll show you why exactly I'm using these plugins later. For now, these are the prerequisites which you need to take care of. Okay, I'll share this prerequisite document with you, and this is last two step, ignore it for now guys, that's totally fine. Okay, so these are the plugins. So again, signing to portal, which we have done, install CLI, logging to your account, subscription basically, install Visual Studio Code, install any latest, that is fine, no specific version as such. Install ARM template plugins. Okay, any questions over here? Anyone? What needs to be done? Let me close all this. Okay, once this is done, we are good. We have the complete setup, and now we can use Visual Studio to start creating or working on any project. Okay, so is it not like ARM can be only created using Visual Studio Code? You can even use Visual Studio to create your template. You can use other IDE tools to create template. There are multiple ways of creating template, guys. It's not just you have to stick with Visual Studio Code. If you want to use any other IDE tool, you guys are free to do it. This is because previously, if you go and see 3 sessions back, I was using Visual Studio over there, but I found Visual Studio Code more user friendly and have more options, so hence I switched and started teaching on Visual Studio Code. So I have used multiple IDEs, then I came to Visual Studio Code. Okay, so this is all about your prerequisite. Now let's go and start. What is ARM? Now what exactly is this template? Why did I select ARM first? Why not Terraform? Okay, so if you go back my 5-6 batch behind, I was not covering Terraform at that point of time. The only thing I was covering was ARM template. Why not Terraform? The reason was straightforward. It was only a 30 hours session. It was not this big class. It was focused only on Azure DevOps. And in Azure DevOps, if you're working with Azure DevOps and Azure Cloud Services, and if you're going with any project wherein they're using all these two tools, they will not go with Terraform. Why? Because if any MNC is using Azure DevOps and Azure Cloud, then they will stick with ARM, because ARM is a Microsoft tool. It's not open source, it's a Microsoft tool, and they will have a service level agreement signed with them, so they will not go with any third-party tool. They will not share their data with any third-party tool. They will stick with Microsoft tool itself. So hence, they if you go with any such project, they will have a requirement for ARM, not Terraform. Okay. Same goes with AWS. AWS has CloudFormation template. If any company which is more centric to AWS services and using AWS services exponentially, then they will definitely go with CloudFormation. They will not go with Terraform. Terraform is a third-party tool, guys, so you will have to keep that in mind. Now, any company which is hybrid, who is not sure that if I am having this application built on Azure, tomorrow I'll be switching it to GCP, or I'll be switching it to AWS, or I'll be switching it to data center. Such companies will not use ARM, not use CloudFormation. Such companies will stick with Terraform. Now Terraform is in very high demand right now in this market, in DevOps world mainly, because we are in hybrid culture. Okay, so Terraform is coming in high demand, and Terraform has more features and more flexible than this ARM and CloudFormation, frankly speaking. So if you want to succeed, you need to have Terraform knowledge. Definitely you need to have a Terraform knowledge at this point of time, if you ask me. So hence I have included Terraform also, which we'll do eventually at the end of this course, not before that, because that's a different tool. Yeah, so these are the reasons why I have two IAC tools, because this was already part of my course curriculum. And if you go to any Azure centric company, then definitely you need to know ARM. So what exactly is ARM, or any other tool like infra as a code, and what exactly these are all infra as a code tool. What do I mean by infra as a code? Your infrastructure creation becomes part of your pipeline, basically. Your infra management, infra creation, infra deletion, everything becomes part of your development activity. And infra as a code means it's a piece of code which will be part of your repository. When things are part of your repository, we all know what are the benefits we get. Versioning is automatically done. Commits, you can have multiple copies of your code created. You can easily share your code with any developer, and they can easily contribute to your project. So these are the additional benefit which you get if you have infra as a code. Plus, what is the benefit of infra as a code? State consistency. What do I mean by state consistency? If you create a VM using infra as a code tool with all the configuration, all the settings, suppose you have created a dev VM once. Now if you want to create a QA VM, easily you can use the same template, and with minor changes you can create a QA, you can create stage, you can create production. There is no configuration drift happening over here, guys. If the template has worked with dev, the same template can work flawlessly with QA, stage, prod. This is the biggest achievement of infra as a code. No configuration drift. Now why do I say biggest achievement? If you go back 5 years, 6 years back, when we were starting with DevOps, the biggest challenge what the development team was facing is the infra readiness. Just give me 1 minute, someone is pinging me, checking the classes timing. Okay, sorry. So I was saying the biggest achievement is infra as a code. Now when I say configuration drift, let's go back a and just think what we were doing before. When this Agile and Scrum was there, it was there, and the development was happening at a very faster rate, but what was the issue what they were facing? Now imagine there is a development which is happening on your weekly basis, bi-weekly basis, but you don't have your infrastructure ready to deploy that development, test that development. Now what was happening? The development team was giving a Word document in which they were writing the configuration requirement, and they were writing the all sort of configuration requirement and what all services they need, and they were giving over to the operation team at that point of time. Now the operation team was going and using virtual machine, and they were setting up things for them. Once the things are set up, they give it back to the development team. Now the development team, when they try to deploy their application, the application tends to fail. Now the developer team is telling, this is working on my local, how come this is not working on your VM? And there is a back and forth happening between developer and operation team. Now the operation team, somehow they fix it. Now they are successfully able to deploy the application on dev. Now same story goes on when they deploy things on QA, again back and forth, VM setup. So this is very time consuming effort. During this back and forth, 1 week, 2 week of time is getting wasted in between. Okay. In such cases, what you need to do? In such cases, this was the major issues backdrop what we had previously. Now, what is this infra as a code tool has taken out all this difficulty. Now, just imagine on one side your development team is creating an application in 2 weeks of time, but they're wasting the 2 weeks just to test it and deploy it. That is what they were doing. Okay. Now, how do we get rid of such things? So this is all issues were bypassed with the help of infra as a code tool. So this is the configuration drift which I was talking about. Okay. Now this configuration drift with infra as a code tool, we don't have any such configuration drift. So whatever you have created with the help of the template, the infra which is created with the help of template once, and if your application was successfully deployed without any issues, the same configuration will work on others also without any issues or any concern. Give me 1 minute. That is what infra as a code tool has bought. That's a basic, simple what exactly infra as a code tool is all about, guys. Now what is ARM? ARM is nothing but it's a Azure resource manager. Okay, so there are multiple ways you can create resources on cloud. One is through Azure portal, the one which we were doing directly. You can use Azure PowerShell. You can use Azure CLI, the one which I've asked you to set up. So using the CLI also, you can go and create resources on cloud. And the third is REST APIs. Okay, so basically what exactly they do, they eventually, whatever method you apply, whatever way you apply, it will go through your REST clients. It will connect to your ARM. ARM is nothing but it's a middleware in between, and this is managing all the requests. This is the place where the authentication takes place, and once you're authenticated, then you can go and access your resources, you can manage your resources. So ARM is basically at the management layer. I'm not talking about template yet. Template will become part of this REST clients only, guys. When ARM template is part of this REST client only, because you write ARM is written in JSON. Okay, it uses JSON language, but the JSON template gets converted as a put request. If you go in more backend, gets converted as a put request, and it's a API call which is happening basically. We'll talk about that later. For now, I'm just talking about what is ARM. I'm not talking about template yet, guys. I'm just talking about ARM. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay, so Azure Resource Manager or ARM is the management layer responsible for creating, updating and managing resources. Okay, so it's for creating, updating and managing resources. Multiple ways to deploy. So there are multiple ways, regardless whether you're using Portal, you're using PowerShell, using CLI or REST API. Azure Resource Manager offers a way to deploy and manage the resources. So this is the middleware layer. Even if you're using this portal, where's the portal? Even if you're using this portal, whatever resources gets created, that's created in the backdrop using this ARM, the management layer which is there in the between. Now if you ask me, everything is a API call which is happening in the backdrop, even through the portal, whatever you're doing. Okay, characteristics. So at ARM level you can do access control, logs, tags, resource group. Resource group creation is also part of a resource manager, guys, and templates. Now template is again a feature of this resource group, resource manager. You can even use templates to create resources. So that is a feature that, so hence the name ARM templates. So using template you can create and manage resources on Azure cloud. So this was not available in the previous model of Azure Resource Manager. So template is a new feature. Some of the features are offered by ARM. These access control, logs, tags, resource group and template, this was not. So remember I spoke about classic before this ARM. There was a way to create resources was classic. Initially we spoke about that. So all this feature, this template feature was not even available in classic. This is available only with ARM. Now this is what ARM is all about. Now what is template? This is we spoke about ARM. Now what is this ARM template? This is how typical your template will look like. Starting with curly braces, you will have your schema information, your content version information, and you will have your things will be defined over here. Now what are the benefits of this? It's a declarative. What is the name? What are the benefits of using a template? First is declarative. ARM template, as I said, it's use JSON files. It's a declarative automation. So what do I mean by declarative? So you need to declare the resources, but not how to create them. Creating the resources is the resource manager responsibility. So you just declare it, what all resources you want to create. Once you declare it, Azure Resource Manager will take care of creating those resources automatically for you. Okay, that is your declarative means. So JSON follows declarative approach, hence you can use the declarative approach over here. Consistent and reusable. Environments deployed via ARM template will be consistent. As I said, there is no configuration drift as such. It will be consistent. With the help of parameters, we can share and reuse the template to create environment from scratch. If you have the template written once, you can create any new environment from scratch without much efforts. You can create any new environment from scratch without much efforts. Okay, make sense? This is again a feature of ARM. Error prone and task simplified development. If we are creating any environment manually, guys, we are prone to human error. We are humans and we're prone to error. But if you have any template deployed using ARM and if it's error free, you be rest assured that if you create any new environment, there won't be any error. We can deploy all the resources we define in a single operation. Okay, you don't need to worry about it, will be taken care. Again a feature of ARM. Second, linkable and help complex deployment. Now if there are multiple resources you're creating, just imagine you're creating a VM, with VM you're creating a SQL server, with SQL server you're creating a database, then you have some queuing storage account. There are many things you're creating, so this becomes very complex, correct? In reality, if you ask me, this will become around 1000 line of code, and this becomes very complex. So it also supports linkable and help complex deployment. Linkable, what do you mean by linkable? So you can create multiple templates. Like for your VM creation, there will be one template. Your database, there will be other template. For storage account, there will be other template, and all this template can be linked together. So individually you can manage the individual resources template, along with you can also link it all together. That is what the features of ARM is all about. These are declarative automation, consistent and reusable, error prone task simplified, linkable. And this is how your template will look like, guys, in which you got the schema. Schema is nothing but this link which you see. This is the place from where the libraries, the related files, and this is the, using this link you'll come to know what type of resource. Is it a ARM resource or what type of resource you are trying to create. This is content version. This is completely optional. Whenever you go and make changes to your version of your template, you can go and edit this version. Now because your infra as a code will be part of your Git repository, so this is not needed, guys. But yeah, if anyone wants to maintain the version of their template, they can go and play around with this. Parameters. So it's a value which you provide during your deployment. So this is where your multiple environments can be created. Now you don't need to hard code any value. What is parameter? If you hard code value, like suppose if you're creating an infrastructure and you have hard coded value and you have not used the parameter option, what will happen? Can you reuse the template? So no, you cannot reuse the template. Like you have created a dev environment, you'll have to create a new template for your QA environment. So with this parameter option, you can do what? You can provide values during deployment that allows the same template to be used with different environments. Now during the deployment, like when you're running the template, at that time you will say, okay, this is my web app name, this is my service plan name, during the deployment. So what is the benefit of doing this way? You can use this template n number of times. That is what parameter is all about. That is what you will define it over here. Function, this is more like if there is a repetitive piece of code. What do I mean by repetitive piece of code? Just imagine in your coding you're doing some sort of addition, like you're adding two numbers and that numbers are getting called multiple times at several locations inside your code. Okay, what you have to do, you have to a plus b and all those things you need to define everywhere. Now this is repetitive. And what is the principle of writing any piece of code? They follow dry principle. Dry means do not repeat yourself. So in such cases, if you want to have a add function in your piece of code, so you will define at the very top as a function that this is how the addition will happen, and you just call that function within the code. Okay, this is a very typical example of coding. So if you have anything as such in your ARM template, so there is an option to define functions as well in ARM template. Okay, this is very rarely you will be using, guys, but this is there, just an FYI. Variables, again, variables will define values that are reused in your template. These are values which you will be reusing within the template, and this can be constructed using parameter values. So whatever parameter values you will have it over here, you can construct your variable values using the parameter values. So don't worry about theory. All this I'll do it in practical, then you'll understand more. Okay, so variables are something that are reused. So remember, we were using predefined variables in the pipeline. What was the purpose? The values are already defined, the variables are already defined, and you're reusing it inside your pipeline, and that has specific meaning. Those variables which you're using, it has specific meaning already defined. That is something you can do within your template also. Then this is the place, guys. 80 to 90% of your code will come inside this. This is the place wherein you will be defining your resources. Okay, this is the place wherein if you're creating any web app, your web app will be visible over here. If you're creating any VM database, all these resources will be right in this box. Last but not the least, the outputs. The output is basically return values from the deployed resources. So whatever resources you have deployed, suppose you have deployed a VM. If you want the VM resource ID as the output, okay, then you can define that over here in the output folder. And very importantly, it starts with the curly braces, it's end with the curly braces. What do I understand with curly braces? Curly braces is a key value. Key value. It's a dictionary. So when there is a key, there is a value. So there is a name. If you say name, Rohit Singh, that's a value which we are assigning. So whenever you say curly braces, wherever you say curly braces, then that means it's a key value pair which we are talking about. So these are the keys. If you see, schema is a key, and the link which you see, this is the value. Content version is a key, this is the value. Now even in parameters, if you see, there's a curly braces. Curly braces again key value. So you will have a parameter defined, you will give a name and you will give a value to it. Function is not key value, it's a bracket. Bracket is listing, list of items. Bracket stands for listing. So if you see closely your resources is bracket. So if you just think of the web app, Azure web app is the only thing you create? No. You will have your service plan created first. Secondly, you will have a web app create. So it's a list of resources which you're creating. You will have a service plan, then your web app. Suppose a VM, Azure VM. Is it the only VM you create? No. The VM, the virtual network, the subnet, the public IP, the disk, the OS. How many things I'm talking about? Is the list of resources. It's not just one. Okay. So that's why you see this has a bracket. Wherever you see curly braces, it's a dictionary. Wherever you see this bracket, this is a list. This is how your template will be created, guys. So we'll talk about this template now. Okay. Now if you go back, so whatever did I speak about right now over here, it's all written over here. Schema, the reference location of JSON files. This is how the schema will look like. Content version, used to version the template. The default version is 1.00. Parameters, this is how the parameter looks like. This is how you will be defining the parameters. So your actual web app name, it will be a string type, minimum length 1. This is your metadata information. This is how your parameters will be defined. So during resource deployment, the parameter value can be provided at the input to the template. Okay. You will have variables. Variables can be used to hardcode values to your template. So if you see this is how the variable is defined. Okay, don't worry about this, we'll all do it during a practical. This is how your functions will be defined, and this is how your resources will be defined. Now the resources is this. what we are creating, this is, if you see closely, this is a service farm, app service plan, and over here we are creating a, so this is a service plan what we are creating with SKU F1. So this comes in free tier F1. Remember, we have created F1 manually, and this is same thing, we can do it using template. Now this is your output. Display the value that return after the deployment. Now you want to display the public IP address variable. You want to know the IP address. So this is how you can display it. Done. Okay, this is basic of ARM, guys. Now ARM, as I said, whatever templates you write, these templates in real time, when you run the template gets converted as a put request, a put call. So if you're familiar with API calls, and that put call is then run through ARM API. Okay. So there are multiple ways of creating template, guys. I'm showing you easier ways right now. Later we'll be creating everything from very scratch. Okay. Let me show you easier way. Now if you want to create any resources, for example virtual machine. Let me see if I have any resource right now. All resources, nothing I have. Okay. If you want to create any resources, like for example virtual machine, now I'll go and create these resources directly from the portal. I don't have a resource group. Let me create a resource group. devopsmela RG. Let me give this name as VM1. I'll click on review and create. So I am creating a VM. Now if I want to convert this VM creation into a template for automation, if you see, there is an option it's coming over here, download a template for automation. So whatever input you have given over here, whatever resources getting created over here, you will have option to download a template. If you download a template, this is your template file. You have your parameter, you have your variables, you have your resources. 5 resources is getting created. If you click on these resources, this is a network interface code, this is a network security code, this is a virtual network, this is your public IP, this is your virtual machine. Download it, put it in your source code repository, you're good to go. Not just this resource, any resources. And when I say any resource can be with supporting ARM APIs will be created. A template will be there. If there's any existing resource, and if you want to download the template, even that is possible. I don't have an existing resource, but if you come down, scroll down at the very bottom, there is an option to deploy download templates. App service, for example, if you're creating an app service, the first thing what you do is to create a pricing plan. This is the plan what you select, correct? Now if you go and explore this plan, these are the service plans which you need to create. F1 is free tier, it comes free, guys. Cost per hour is free, so that's why I was using F1. All other plans are given over here. You got free, basic. If you see, this is hardware wise. If you see the feature view, you'll come to know what are the feature. Do we have custom domain option in free? No. Do we have auto scaling option? No. Do we have daily backup? No, nothing is there. Okay. Do we have zero redundant integration? No. Now if you want all this, then you need to go into the premium plan. Okay. This is the basically when you're using in real time, you will start with this premium only, guys. You will not go with free F1 or basic B1. These are all for testing. You'll not be using for production and all. Okay. So let's select this premium V1. Now if I just go and review and create, no, there are options. Okay. If I go and review and create, again some failure. Okay, running stack. you get an option to download the template over here. See this, you have the template parameter, you have your scripts. See this, any resources, even if it's an existing resource, you can have a template created or downloaded. One way, this is one way. The second way is there is a option of custom template on your portal, which will have some custom template. See, deploy a custom template. This is basically will have your, if you want to create a Linux machine, directly click on this template and you just have to fill in this information and your template is ready. If you want to edit this template, you can go and edit the template. Okay. If you want to visualize what exactly is getting created, you can also open resource visualizer. See this, this is the resources which is getting created. Now these are some predefined templates which is there. If you have your own template, suppose there is an option to build your own template in the editor. This works very similar to the Visual Studio which we will be using. This editor is very similar to this one. That is the reason I'm using this. That tomorrow if you go to any company and you don't have access to Visual Studio Code, so using this portal also you can create your template. So hence I'm using this option right now. Okay. Now if you have your template, you can just load file over here, get your template file, and you're good to go. You can create your resources very easily. Okay, these are all options available. Now the best option is Azure template GitHub. This is a open source GitHub repository for your templates. There are more than 5,000 developers who are constantly creating template and putting the template on GitHub. Whatever resource you think of in your mind, that template is already available. But can you just download and use it? Do you know how to read through the template? Do you know how the resources are created? If tomorrow if you want to customize, can you do it? The answer is no. So that is where we'll create the template from scratch, understand each and every line. The scratch means I'm not writing the code. Again, I'll be using the plugin. I'll show you how it is created. Okay. Then when you go through each and every line, then you'll understand how the template is created, what is the template flow. Then if tomorrow if you want to use any of this assistance which I showed you, downloading the template, using the custom template, or using the GitHub, let's go into the GitHub, using the GitHub, then only you can go and use it. This is Microsoft Git repository. Oh, there are 1234 contributors. They are constantly writing ARM templates for you, and this is free. 100 blank template, whatever template you can see, you can quick start templates. These are all templates, guys. What do you want to create? For example, let's go and create Azure Microsoft Web. If you want to create service doc for Linux, see this template file. The template is ready. So I think someone has asked me about biceps. Bicep is also a new language for creating templates, guys. Now if you go and look into over here with JSON, which is ARM template, you got bicep also. This is how the bicep piece of code, so this is, they say, more simpler than, more easy to use than ARM template. So this is along with, and plus less number of codes you have to write, and plus you don't need to manage multiple files. So this is something, a new language. So if you want to have a bicep created, then we have bicep also. Now this is your actual template is all about. See, the template is around 102 line of code, and in Bicep you'll find it around 60-70 line of codes, so it's shorter. See, 56, the same thing. Okay, so this is when exactly will you be using all this? When you can read through what exactly is written, and if you want to make any customization, how do you make the customization? If you know that, then only you can go and download this template and you can go and edit the template. So the whole point over here is why exactly I'm showing you all this, that tomorrow when you come to any project wherein you are using ARM, you don't end up writing everything from scratch. There are things available online which you can go and use it. Okay, what exactly this template is doing, if you want to read through it, use to this documentation. Two languages, JSON and Bicep. Okay, so these are all available, guys. Even there's an official website, quick start ARM template. If you see, you will go end up getting to your Azure Microsoft website, and you can put your search what exactly you're looking for, and basically it will take you in the backdrop, it will take you to the GitHub only, guys. Okay, like suppose if you want to create a Azure web app, web app with Azure database, MySQL, web app monitoring, Cosmos DB monitoring, web app with Linux, and what not you want. So let's have this MySQL one. Now see this quick start template. If you click over here, deploy to Azure, or if you want to quick start using ARM Linux web app, it will take you to the GitHub only. Eventually it will take you to the GitHub code, the same screen which I showed you earlier. Okay, so this will come handy when you write template from scratch and you have basic understanding of template. Okay, so let me, so these are the easier way which you can go and create template. Now let me show you how do we create template. So I'll just show you today how do we create template from scratch. Okay, one more thing, at multiple levels you can create templates, guys. So we'll be creating template at the resource group level, at the subscription level. Okay, let me open Visual Studio. Before that, let me create a folder over here on my desktop, name it as ARM web app. Let me open a folder. Okay, so I am inside the folder. This is my folder, and I'll create a file. So this is, we are creating a web app. So the one which we did manually last time, we'll do it using ARM. So I'll name it as web app.json. This is where your actual template will be created. As I said, it is written in JSON, so this is how it will look like, web app.json. Now first thing, when you create this, the first thing what you have to do, come down at the right hand side down corner, there is an option to select language mode. You have to click on this language mode. You need to select Azure Resource Manager template. What you need to select? Azure Resource Manager template. When will you get this option? When you have the plugin installed. If you don't have the plugin, this will not be visible. Select this language. It will start your ARM template language server. Once the language server is started, you will see all the plugins, all the templates, snippets, and everything will be. So basically all the supports will be given after that. Before that, you need to write everything by yourself. If if you don't have this language server. Keep that in mind. Now if you see, as soon as my language was in place, I started getting this as a red mark. That means there's an error in this file. So this is all it is showing you right now. There is an error because we have not written anything as a ARM template. So to start with, if you just hit A on your keyboard, this is the output which you get. So there are multiple layers on which you can create a template. The first, you see a resource group at the resource group layer if you want to create a template. Second is management group at the management group layer. Third is the subscription. This is the one which we will be using because I want to create resource at the subscription level. The third is tenant template at the tenant layer if you want to create, and this is a parameter template. So what will change? The only thing will change, like suppose you're creating a management group template, for example. Everything will be exactly the same, guys. The only thing will change the schema link at the top. Now in the schema, if you see, it is a management group deployment template. What did it say? The end, management group deployment. This is where you will segregate things. What exactly this template file is, this is where you'll come to know. Now the same thing if I do it with subscription. See this, subscription deployment template. So this is what we want. We want to create resources at the subscription level. Same goes with your parameters. If you open a parameter, this is, you will come to know deployment parameter.json. You'll come to know that this is a parameter file. So this is what the schema plays a very important role when you are creating a template. Exact same file where you have schema, content version, parameter, function, variable, resource, output. And we'll make use of terminal. At the top there's an option of terminal. Click on new terminal. This is more like a CLI command line, Azure CLI. So this will open a terminal. Using this terminal, I'll be running my template from my local. Where exactly we are? We are in the same folder, ARM web app, and using this terminal will be creating or running or executing our first template locally. Initially we'll do it locally, later we'll integrate this template with pipelines. Okay, so that's it for today. I don't want to create template today. Tomorrow we'll create template from scratch and we'll do complete template creation with parameters and everything tomorrow, not today. If anyone has any questions, please do let me know, and make sure to set up. I'll share this prerequisite documentations with you guys. Make sure to go and set this up today itself and practice along with me, guys. So whatever I do, whatever templates I create, whatever steps I do, for at least for this ARM, till the time we are doing the ARM, do it along with me, because if you wait till the weekend, you'll forget everything. So make sure to practice while I am doing it at the same time, because people from non-coding background may find this difficult, but frankly speaking, I will not even write a single line of code. I'll be making use of plugin, and I'm just showing you the smart way, and I'll just walk you through what exactly, where to make changes, how to create values, how to create variables, how to create parameters. This is something the smarter way of things I'll be showing you. Okay, so that's it. If anyone has any question, please do let me know. Tomorrow we'll have this ARM practical and we'll do things from very scratch. We'll create our first ARM template and we'll deploy the ARM template using command line. Okay. Anyone? Any questions, guys? Any doubt? Any question? Any confusion? Anything? Do let me know, or else we can wind up the call for today. No questions? Perfect then. Okay guys, thank you very much. Let's meet up tomorrow and let's continue with this ARM topic.